Hi everyone, it's Sam here to talk about the unit material on domestic violence and substance abuse and child welfare. The first thing that I really wanted to bring up was a statistic brought up in the PDF saying that research suggests that in an estimated 30 to 60% of the families where either domestic violence or child maltreatment is identified, it is likely that both forms of abuse exist. This to me is really interesting in the fact that the families that I interviewed had said that their abusers were the best father figures that the children could ever have. They were really positive about the abusers when it came to their children's life rather than their own. And the violence was more focused on the partner rather than the children. And it was interesting to read that statistic because a chunk of these families are going through both types of abuse, and maybe they're hiding it. Maybe they're hiding the child maltreatment so that they can focus on one thing at a time. These victims are stressed beyond belief, and they don't want their children to be taken away, so that's maybe why I heard that. I don't know. Or maybe they actually were really good fathers, but now that really informs my practice so that I could screen a little bit further for child maltreatment if I continue the work in domestic violence. The second thing I found interesting was on the podcast where the doctor said that there are similar levels of domestic violence occurring in all cultures. That's extremely scary because domestic violence is pretty much everywhere, happening to anybody. It can happen to anyone. And the difference is in the response, which is also scary because some countries might not see it in the legal system or might address it in a different way than how we address it here, which we give protection to the victims if they show proof that there is violence. The last thing I wanted to say was that I was really excited to read that in the PDF it said that historically domestic violence is a woman's issue, but it can happen to anybody, not just women. It can happen to any population, any gender, any culture, and I was really glad to read that because we're seeing cases of males involved in domestic violence, and we're seeing cases of every culture involved in domestic violence, and it's really unfortunate and it's a really scary thing that's occurring, but I was just really happy to read that the literature says that. The stuff that I was unclear on was the substance abuse side of things. The woman in the video said that addiction is similar to medical diseases, and she listed some things that are similar, but I was wondering if there is a neurobiological similarity to medical diseases, or if it's just like symptoms, or how a person progresses through a disease. And then the second thing that I was a little unclear of was dependency. How do you figure out if someone's dependent on a substance? Is it the way that their body reacts without the substance, or is it their mental state? How do you screen for that? And then my final question that I wanted to propose to the class is about domestic violence and the family involved. Do you think that the victims of domestic violence are doubly victimized by DCF? I say this because I believe that they are, because they're being victimized by their abusers, and they're also being victimized in the failure to protect, even if they're doing the best thing that they can for these children. And a lot of times it's a gray area because the abusers really threaten the women, their lives and their kids' lives, and they're doing the best that they can. Yet DCF thinks it's a failure to protect their children and want them out of the home. So what do you guys think about that? Anyways, I hope you all are having a really awesome week. Have a really great weekend. It's starting to rain, so it's summertime. Yay! Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. See ya!